everybody, welcome back. My name is Mel and today we're going to be talking thriller and horror reads that are perfect for the fall season. October, November, we're talking cozy, we're talking paranormal, ghosts, all the fun things for the month of October and November. And I felt like because of this, we had to wear this sweatshirt that is coffee and horror movies. Does it get any better than that? No, I didn't think so. These are the books that when I think of October and November, the thrillers, the horrors that I'm going to gravitate towards, these are the type of books that really work for me. I forgot about my hat. Oop. Should we film like this? I feel like we should film like this. These are the books that really work for me, the things that I tend to particularly enjoy in these type of months. So the first one that I want to talk about is The Lost Village by Camilla Stein. This one was a right book, right time for me, but I loved it and gave it 5 stars. It is definitely more of an atmospheric read. So if you are looking for something that's high octane, this might not be for you. But if you want the spooky, the fog rolling in from the distance, the deserted town vibes, then I really think that this one would work for you. And it basically just everyone one day up and disappeared from this Swedish town. And they don't know where they went. Everyone was gone at once. And so she and her friends have decided to go back and make a documentary on it and try to figure out what happened to all of these people. And there's a little bit of like a paranormal undertone. You don't really know what is going on. I did really enjoy this one and would highly recommend it for those of you looking for that spooky atmosphere for fall. Then we have one that's not really it's not a horror, and I don't know if I would call it a strong thriller, but it's a good mystery, and that is Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Caine. As some of you may know, Rachel Caine did die a couple of years ago from cancer, but one of her longtime friends that had been writing kind of alongside her for many years did decide to pick up and continue the series. The first and second ones are still probably my favorite of the series, and it follows Gwen and her 2 children. Gwen was married to a man that turns out was murdering women in their garage. And she had no idea, the kids had no idea, they just thought that they were living a good life with her husband, and come to find out he was not a good guy. And because of this, and when all of the media and stuff started happening, people thought that she knew. They thought that she was involved. Even when her name is cleared, they just assumed the kids and the wife had to know. And they come after her with fire, brimstone, and pitchforks. And she's got to do what she needs to do to survive and to keep her children safe. This one is a very different type of, I wouldn't call it a cozy mystery, but more of a mystery than thriller. And I ate it up. It was so good, so much fun. It is, I think, on Kindle Unlimited, and it's the perfect read for even November-ish time. I think it would work really well. Next, we have It Girl by Ruth Ware. This one did not particularly work for me, but I can see how it would work really well for a lot of people during the kind of going back to school fall type months. This is got 2 different timelines. One set when our main character was in Oxford and her roommate April and kind of how everything was dealing with there. And then one post-college where she is now married to her college sweetheart, and she is kind of living in this aftermath of accusing a man of killing April. And come to find out, he has now died in prison, but somebody thinks that maybe he didn't do it, and they bring that up to her, and it kind of unravels her world. I just didn't, this one did not particularly work for me, but I know it's worked for a lot of different people. If you're looking for turn of the key vibes, which we will talk about in a minute, this is not what you want. But if you're looking for more of a slow academia type just mystery, then this one might work really well for you. So next up we have The Shadows by Alex North. This one is the second book from this author. He first wrote The Whispering Man or The Whisper Man, and I liked The Shadows so much more. So creepy and atmospheric. I had a great time with it. Just kind of the first little blurb that I want to tell you. It says, you knew a teenager like Charlie Crabtree, a dark imagination and a sinister smile always on the outside of the group. Some part of you might have suspected that he was capable of doing something awful. And 25 years ago, Charlie Crabtree did just that. And you kind of flip around between this present point of view where this guy is kind of trying to deal with his mother's death and the aftermath of all of the stuff that happened in his hometown. And then you also have when he was a kid and kind of the different things that they got up to. And they were like trying to share each other's dreams. And it was creepy. There was a murder. I really, really enjoyed it. I had a great time with it. And it is perfect for spooky season. Next up, we have The House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman. This one is just plain weird, but weird for the vibes. I don't really know how to explain it other than you've got these two kids that are living at a lake and they decide to go out onto their like normal lake and explore and go through a tunnel and realize that there is another lake that they never knew about. And when they go diving, they find a full-fledged just operating house down at the bottom of the lake. And it's very strange. I would call it horror, but more of like a speculative horror. And it's short, it's quick, and it was quite entertaining. So I think it would be perfect for this time of year, especially if you're looking for a read that is just out of the norm, then I think this one could really, really work for you. Then we have one of my personal favorites, and that is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Of all of the Blake Crouches that I have read, and that is Dark Matter, Recursion, and Upgrade, this one is probably the one that leans a little bit more thriller horror to me. Recursion and Upgrade are both still very much so thrillers, but this one is the darkest out of all of them. They have a bit of a sci-fi blend to them. This particular one is a dimension jumping type story, and the tagline just says, "Are you happy with your life?" Those are the last words that Jason hears before a masked abductor knocks him unconscious. And he is trying to make it back to the family he loves, but he keeps having to do things over and over and over again, and there starts to be some serious consequences to this. I just found this one highly entertaining. It's a great read. Unlike most people, I actually liked Recursion and Dark Matter almost equally. I thought they were both a ton of fun. If you've not read any Blake Crouch before, I probably would start here. I think it's a good taste of his writing, and I think this one is perfect for fall. Then we have The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. I have bent the cover. Oh no. Okay. Simone St. James kind of does the Jewel timeline, little bit of paranormal undertone. That's kind of her thing. And this one is no exception. In this one, we have Vermont of 1950, and there's a place where no girls want to go. It's kind of like a girls' boarding school. It's extremely strict, and there is a woman in black that you can sometimes see out the window. And then we have Vermont in 2014, where 20 years ago, a journalist elder sister's body was found in the overgrown fields, and she is trying to figure out what happened to her sister. I don't know if this one or Sundown Motel I liked better, but they were both equally entertaining. The very beginning of this one creeped me out so much that I put it down until the next morning. The book itself is not super, super creepy, but that beginning was very creepy. I highly enjoyed it. And this one, I mean, you can even see like the fall leaves and the fall colors. It's just absolutely perfect for the fall. Then we have one that's maybe a bit gonna surprise a few people, and that's The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This one is part, I wouldn't say cozy mystery, but part mystery. Think kind of Agatha Christie whodunit, part edge of your seat, but not a thriller, and part paranormal. And it is long, and it is very confusing, and does require you to really kind of have your thinking cap on. It's not one that you can just mindlessly listen to on audio, but I just found how everything wrapped up to be very interesting. The very, very end of this book and the twist was not my favorite, but everything leading up to that, I had a ton of fun with, and just kind of trying to puzzle out the story was great. But just really quickly, it says, the rules of Blackheath. Evelyn Hardcastle will be murdered at 11 p.m. There are 8 days and 8 witnesses for you to inhabit. We will only let you escape once you tell us the name of the killer. Understood? Then let's begin. So our main character wakes up every single day in a different body of someone that had an interaction with Evelyn Hardcastle, and the days are kind of disjointed. Sometimes we'll be jumping back, jumping forward, but he cannot escape Blackheath until he figures out what happened to her. But he's never in his own body. He's always in other people's bodies, 8 other people's bodies to be exact. Really enjoyed this one. I think it's a good, more so fall than spooky read. Had a great time with it. Then we have my personal favorite Ruth Ware, and that is The Turn of the Key. This one was one of the first ones I actually read by her and has stayed at the top of the list of my favorites of hers. It is about a woman, and we see her writing letters to her lawyer trying to plead to get out of prison and tell her story. Then we flip back to her actual story where she is kind of down on her luck and agrees to go be a nanny for this couple, and they have a smart house where everything is recorded. You can just, hey, Alexa, anything you need, like lights, locks, anything like that. And these two kids are cute, but kind of creepy. And the house is very, very creepy. And you don't know what to believe, what's real, what's not, what's electronic, and what's more sinister than that. Really enjoyed this one. I think I ended up giving it a 4-star. The ending was a bit rushed for me. I think I wouldn't have minded it at all if it hadn't been just like the last sentence, but that worked extremely well for some people and royally ticked off others. So just kind of know that the we're talking the last page can make or break this book for you, but overall, the last page did not deter from my enjoyment of the rest of the story. I think it is a great fall read. Then we have a couple of young adult picks. The first one is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is the first in a trilogy. I've read the first and the second and can say that the first will stand completely on its own so far. This follows Pip, who has always been wanting to figure out a murder after Sal kills himself because he was accused of killing a young girl, and Pip just doesn't really believe it, and she wants to know exactly what happened. Now, this is going to be kind of her senior project, trying to figure out what happened. She meets some unlikely friends along the way, and things don't shake out the way that she expected. I do love the like red string all over the cover of this. I think it does describe the book really, really well, and even though it's young adult, I think it would definitely appeal to adult mystery readers. It's a lot of fun. Then my second, and I think only other young adult, is Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar. This one is very much so a slasher horror thriller type book that is absolutely perfect for Halloween. The second one just recently came out and is set right around Halloween, so highly recommend reading this one in October. We have a group of friends, Quinn and her 2 guy friends, that live in Kettle Springs, and suddenly a bunch of people start to show up in clown masks and kill people. It's exactly what you would expect. There's no, I guess there is a twist, but to me it's not like a huge twist. The book is what I wanted from it. Lots of fun, super quick. Definitely recommend this one for October. Next up, I would recommend The Burning Girls by CJ Tudor. This one is one of the few. I've read The Chalk Man and one other one by CJ Tudor, and I do enjoy them. They kind of have a similar style to like Stephen King, so if you like his books, then you would probably like the plot lines and the way that these stories are told as well. But we have our main character who is a Vicar, and they and their daughter are going to be going to this kind of remote town in this church that is starting to fail, and she's going to kind of try to help revive it. Daughter doesn't really want to go, but she goes anyway, and creepy things start to happen. There are people and ghosts that they can see kind of out of the corners of their eye. There's murders that are happening. There's a myth behind the town and the Burning Girls, and I just really had a good time reading this one. It's a little spooky, a little horror, but also a lot of speculative, and I think that if you're just looking for something with a little touch of ghosty action, then you would really like this one for the month of October. Then we have the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Grady Hendrix is well known, well loved, as is this book, so this does not come as any surprise to any of you to be on this list, but it is about our housewives in Georgia that are kind of just told to shut up and do what they're supposed to do by their husbands, but when one mother sees a child go missing and starts to question the new neighbor, it kind of spirals. She gets herself into a bit of trouble, and they're trying to figure out if this guy is a vampire. There are some horror elements to this, but it is more of a message type story, in my opinion, than a true horror. It's well loved. Everyone would tell you to read it, and I do think it is a great fall read. We also have The Restorer by Amanda Stewart. This one is about our main character who is a grave restorer, and so she will go and work in grave sites to kind of clean them up, restore the headstones of these old sites. And then when somebody is murdered at a grave site that she's been working in, she starts to help out with the police because she can also see ghosts, and there are more to her and more to the story than she or the police might know. This one was written many, many years ago, but I really enjoyed it when I read it. I did reread it a few years later and didn't quite find the same charm, but I think that it is the perfect, again, a book for a foggy fall morning, crows calling in the distance, to read at night in a graveyard. It's a good time. And then we have the Roanoke Girls by Amy Engel. This one is quite dark. It doesn't really look like it would be from the cover, and it is not historical despite the way that it sounds. It says, Roanoke girls never last long around here. In the end, we run or we die. And so when her mother commits suicide, Lane decides to move in with her grandparents and her cousin in rural Kansas. But she didn't know her mother's mysterious family, but is embraced by one of them. They are very rich. They kind of live up on the hill. And 11 years later, Lane is adrift in Los Angeles when her grandfather calls to tell her that her cousin has gone missing. Did she run, or is something worse going on? So Lane decides to go back and kind of help search for her cousin. And we weave in between Lane's first Roanoke summer and her return. It does have a bit of a dark twist to it. There are lots of triggers, so I would recommend looking those up before checking this book out, but I had a good time with it. I think I gave it like a 3.5 or a 4-star. Would definitely recommend this one for fall. It's not October specific. I think it would work really well for the fall in general. Okay, then down to the last two, we have The Horseman by Christina Henry. This one is a Sleepy Hollow, not really retelling. It's more of Sleepy Hollow happened and this is the aftermath kind of situation. This one does have a twist at the end that I did appreciate. It is LGBTQIA plus representation, and I think it was well done. It was very entertaining, and I would definitely recommend it for an October read. It is set 35 years after the storied events of Sleepy Hollows, and 14-year-old Ben loves to play Sleepy Hollow boys and reenact these events. But then when Ben and his friends stumble across a headless body of a child in the woods near the village, the discovery makes them question everything the adults have ever said. Could the horseman be real after all, or does something more sinister stalk the woods? Had a good time with this one. Definitely would recommend it. Last but not least, again, another academia for you fall lovers. That is For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. This one did not work as well for me, but it is well loved, and I can see why people enjoyed it. It is more of a mystery than a thriller, and it's about a teacher at the school that is going to kind of teach people lessons for their own good. And he may not mean to do everything in the way that it happens, but if it happens that way, it happens that way. And then we also have a student that he's kind of set his eyes on, and what happens there, a false accusation. I did have a good time while reading this one, but it just wasn't one of my ultimate favorites. I think that if you are looking for a dark academia that is slightly satirical and more of a mystery, then you would enjoy this one. It is set at a high school, not a college, which I feel like is different for a dark academia, and it would be a great fall read. Okay, everybody, so I think that is all of the recommendations that I have for you guys for thriller and horror fall books. Again, I have also done one for sci-fi and fantasy readers that would be perfectly applicable to a fall and an October and fall read, so I think that you could definitely check that one out if you're looking for even more recommendations. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just adore spooky season, and so I'm always looking for new recommendations for thriller and horror that you think is perfect for the season. So if you have any of those, please let me know down in the comments below what you think I should read. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to hang out with me a little bit more, you can find links to my Patreon, Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads all down in the description box. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you wanna, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.